recently Dr. Kaur. Just completed her PhD. The topic, the speech specific that she's going to be talking about is focused on getting to the point. Pravat is a proud member of this club, the Birmingham Toastmaster Club. She has been a member for 7 years. She works as an engineer at General Motors. In her free time, she enjoys wildlife photography, hiking, and loves to spend time with her family and friends. As I mentioned, she recently completed one of her long-term goals of getting a PhD. And today, she will share some highlights from her long and fulfilling journey in her speech today. So, Pravat Kaur, Dr. Kaur, welcome.
What do you want to be when you grow up? A question that we are all too familiar with. My answer was always to become a doctor, a medical doctor. At that point in my life, I wanted to be a medical doctor. I was an ambitious teenager and a bit rebellious. Some of that aspects are still part of me in my 30s. There are two things that have always driven me to have big dreams and set goals for myself. One, I want my work to have an impact in the world, to touch lives in some fashion. Second, whatever I choose to do in my life, I want to be at the top. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I recently completed one of my long-term goals to become a doctor. No, not a medical doctor, but a doctor of philosophy, also called PhD, in computer science. And I think that's good enough. It was a journey to make a small impact, a journey that was long, but very rewarding. And you might agree with me. It's a long journey, but it will be rewarding at the end. I feel what I've learned is that to fulfill our dreams, we must own our dream. There are 3 things that I want to share with you that have helped me persist through my journey. Firstly, not everyone around you will believe in your dream, and you. There will be a lot of naysayers. When I had finished my master's degree and I was going towards my PhD degree, I knocked on many doors at Wayne State University, Oakland University, University of Michigan, to find a professor and advisor who would be willing to take me in as their PhD student. But there were very few professors who were willing to take me in. I was a good student. I had a good GPA, so that wasn't the problem. The problem was I was going to continue working full-time as an engineer while I did my PhD. A lot of professors thought that was not a good idea. And they had a valid point. PhD in itself is a full-time job. But I had to keep my employment for various reasons. And I also wanted to get a PhD. That was my dream. My will was so strong, I knew that I could handle the pressure. So I persisted until I eventually met my advisor, Dr. Visangshi at Wayne State, who took me in as a PhD student and also said that I could do it. During our first meeting, own your dream. Own your dream by not looking at the naysayers, by believing in yourself, by believing in your dream. Own your dream. Secondly, just having a dream is not enough. All those professors who said doing a PhD while working full-time is not a good idea, they were right after all. full-time job can be exhausting. And I learned that especially as I was growing older, the energy that I had wasn't the same the energy that I had when I began with my PhD. So they were right. But what kept me going was a book that I read. I read this book called Deep Work by New Halford. You know the author? So this is a book that is on productivity, and I read it during the initial stages of my PhD. One technique that I took away from this book was to do a focused work in an hourly manner. So since then, I maintained what I call PhD deep work hourly tally. So every semester, 1 year, 3 semesters, starting 2019, I used this tool to maintain consistency. The goal was to spend at least 1 hour dedicated to PhD research every day. Of course, there were days where I spent more than 1 hour, and there were some days where I spent 0 hour. But the idea was to be consistent, and this helped me throughout my PhD to stay consistent. So this is just a visual representation of where consistency can take us. So own your dream. Own your dream by giving it the time that it needs. Own your dream by being consistent with your efforts that you want to put towards your dream. Last but not least, have a support group around you throughout your journey. These are the folks that will help you get through the tough days. And these are the folks that will help you, they will actually cherish your accomplishments with you. For me, it was my family, my parents, my sister, my partner, and friends like you. I never thought about quitting PhD because that was my dream, but there were certainly days where I felt I was not good enough. Days when your paper wasn't accepted at a journal because journal thought your idea wasn't novel enough. During those days, my mom would tell me that you are already an Einstein for us. It's just these bits of encouraging notes from my family that got me to the finish line in the past 6 years. That was the span of time that it took me to finish PhD while working full-time at General Motors as an engineer. So it was definitely doable, but it needed consistency, it needed a plan. So the encouraging notes and the help from my family got me to the finish line. But what made the result even sweeter was to celebrate my success. With my friends and family. Thank you. I'm the first engineer in the family, first one to get a PhD on my mom's side, and my family made it possible for me. Own your dream. Whatever dream you're marching towards, believe in it. Believe in yourself. Give it consistent effort. And most importantly, take your loved ones with you along the ride because they will help you stay in it for the longest. Mr. Toastmaster.